I'm doing some crazy shit over here, trying to get my piece of the pie.
So I just did a video the other day about the delta percentage indicator, and I thought I'd do a special video about the Flowstack. The Flowstack also has a percentage feature. It's definitely not as full featured or focused on delta percentage as the delta percentage indicator, but it does have the percentage feature. And in this video, I'm going to show you how it's possible to use delta percentage across multiple different instruments. Right now I've got the delta percentage being displayed for the MNQ, the NQ, and the ES. So I'm scanning those three different instruments, and the Flowstack is printing the delta percentage for all three on top of every candle. This is a micro NASDAQ 1 minute chart, and then I've got the additional data series for the NQ and the ES, all within the Flowstack indicator. So I've got the trend feature painting the bar color. So as soon as we get positive percentage on all three instruments, the candles go green and they will stay green until we get a negative percentage on all three instruments. The arrows will appear anytime that all three are either bullish or bearish. And these arrows will turn on and off intrabar. So right now the condition is true. We've got an arrow. All three are positive. If this ceases to be true intrabar and one of them goes neutral, you see the arrow disappears. So I'm using delta percentage the same way I would with the delta percentage indicator, except now I'm scanning three different markets. I'm looking for all three markets to be in alignment, either to the downside or the upside. And when I'm trading delta percentage, I often like to wait towards the middle or the end of the candle, unless I'm just really ready to take a long or a short and I want to catch that initial pop. But a lot of the times, right when a candle opens, it could easily go all bullish or all bearish and then quickly turn around. So often I will wait towards the middle or the end of the candle. So overnight on the 60-minute chart, we were definitely bearish. Looks like we got a little chop in pre-market. This is the first candle of the New York Open. So you can see we got all the percentages going bearish. If we break this low here, I'm going to get into a short. So all the percentages are bearish, pretty strong, 20%, 13%. There's 10 points instantly. They're all bumping up to over 20%. We had plenty of room to our next key level down at S2, so nothing in the way really. So as we're approaching different key levels, if I get some of these percentages going neutral, delta starts kind of drying up, I might look for a potential reversal. Right at the beginning of the candle, I'm not really paying too much attention to things. This candle just opened. We're about 10 seconds in. But the longer this stays neutral, the more I'm looking out for a potential reversal. But now we've got all these negative percentages coming in, and we're breaking below that key level. We'll see if it's just a poke or if it's got some follow through behind it. So the S2 is holding up. Percentages are pretty neutral here on two of the instruments. Here we go, positive right out of the gate. We just popped up over 10 points, 87 to whole number. We're getting very strong percentage. I'm going to wait closer towards the end of the candle. We got about 15 seconds left here. Okay, the candle's about to close and we've got some strong percentages across all three instruments. Very strong right away when the candle opens, but again, I'm waiting more towards the end of the candle to see where the percentages are at. So we had some strong percentages across the board right at the open of this candle. We got a nice extra pop up there. So quite the rejection off of S2. Now we're coming up to the S1 pivot. We definitely were bearish in the overnight session. So here at the S1, and then if we make it up to yesterday's low, I might be looking for some kind of signs of reversal. Right now, everything is strong. This candle's about to finish. Not interested in a short at the moment. Got kind of a mixed bag at the open of this candle. We've had this pretty fast and furious push up, and we're right at a key level, so not really interested in taking a long at this moment. Here we got some negative percentages coming in, neutral. We're getting a drift lower. And that was right around the S1 pivot there. A little short would have definitely worked out. Here we're negative across the board. bunch of positive percentages coming in on the open of this candle. Can also put a pending order in with the market maker. If I want to put a pending sell in. All right, so there's our arrow. We went negative across the board on all the percentages. There's 10 points pretty much right away. We've got all this resistance up here, the big bearish move down overnight. Nothing in the way between the S1 and the S2 pivots as far as key levels on the 60-minute chart. So we switch back into market mode. So this candle opened up. We have some bullish percentage. We got a neutral percentage. Just kind of watching things. We're right around whole number. If I was keen to take a whole number bounce, I might be more enticed as long as these percentages stayed in the bullish or neutral territory. If they were still bearish, I would definitely not be taking any bounce trades. But if we're coming up to a key level and I see neutral or percentages going in the direction I'm trying to trade in, definitely gives me a little bit more confidence. So this candle opened up pretty weak. We've been bouncing back and forth between negative and neutral on the ES and positive and neutral on the MNQ and the NQ. No real large numbers of percentages yet, and kind of a mixed bag. So it looks like it could go either way here. Try to get another pop to the upside or break lower, get some more move to the downside. We've been kind of indecisive these past two candles. You can see the delta percentage really hasn't gone anywhere. So I'd say if we could break lower with strong percentage across the board, short might be nice. Just gonna hit a market order there. We're breaking below the lows here. We got pretty strong percentages on all three, or we did. Gonna leave my stop where it's at. It's pretty much at the high of this candle. If we break back above that, definitely invalidates the trade. I'm going to be watching these percentages here. If we start to go majorly bullish, I'm just going to hop out. Alright, we started off pretty heavily bearish right there at the open of that candle. Some pretty heavy percentages. Got the 10 points there. So those are some of the ways that I'm using the delta percentages. The one nice thing about the percentages is that you don't have to look at each different instrument and see what levels might be good for delta thresholds. I'm using a 4% delta threshold across all the instruments. So you see back here, anytime there's a 3, 2, or 1%, those are painted in white. And if we break 4% either to the downside or the upside, we get the red and green text print there. So this candle ended up finishing very neutral. We're just chopping around here. This candle's been neutral for half of the candle, chopping around. I'd be waiting for a breakout further to the downside or to the upside, watching the percentages. So one thing to note, as of now, the delta percentage plot on the Flowstack does not work with the trend and reversal indicator if you're trying to use that as an input series. The MMT delta percentage indicator that I did a video on yesterday, that absolutely works with the trend and reversal indicator. And you can use that combo to create some extra amazing signals based off of delta percentage. At some point, I might make it so that this plot on the Flowstack will work with the trend and reversal, but no guarantees on that. Like I mentioned, the delta percentage indicator has a lot of other features that are all based around delta percentage. With the Flowstack, it's basically just the percentage number, and you can have it appear above the candles, you can have it appear up in the delta grid, and you can look for confluence between the percentages across multiple instruments. So let me show you the settings on the MMT Flowstack here. In the delta section, I've got the delta percentage threshold. This applies to all instruments. So 4% is my percentage threshold. Right now I have the delta grid turned off. That's the delta grid up in the right corner. You can choose between the raw delta number or the delta percentage. I've got the Flowstack enabled, showing the delta numbers above the candles. Here's the Flowstack delta mode. You can choose the raw delta number or delta percentage. So I've got the delta percentage selected. I've also got apply thresholds to the Flowstack. This is checked on. So based off of this delta percentage, it will paint those delta numbers green, red, or white for neutral. And then for my instruments, I've got instrument 2 enabled and I've got instrument 3 enabled. So I've got the NQ and the ES 1 minute charts, and then my main chart is a micro NASDAQ 1 minute. For the signal conditions, I'm only using the delta percentage threshold. So when all three are in alignment, either to the upside or the downside, we get these signal arrows, which I have checked on. You can see I've got different offsets for the arrow up or the arrow down. Depending on the instrument that you're trading, the time frame, and how scrunched down you have your charts, you can change the offset for the down arrow. So I could increase this arrow offset to 88 or something. Now the arrows are up out of the text. Then I've got the trend section. I've got the color bars and the outline activated. So once all three percentages turn bearish, these candles are going to paint red until we get a switch in the opposite direction. You can also apply neutral colors to the trend. If you do that, as soon as you get any kind of neutrality, it's going to paint the candles white if all of these conditions are not true. So those are the settings I'm using for the Flowstack and some of the ways that I'm trading with delta percentage. You can see back here when everything was neutral, very indecisive, we were waiting for a breakout. All of a sudden we got this candle with the bigger, stronger percentages across the board. We got a nice drift lower there. So there's some more ideas, some more ways that I'm using these wonderful magical indicators. Although I would like to remind everyone that there are no magic indicators out there. There's no indicator out there that's instantly going to make someone a better trader overnight. There's absolutely no substitute for personal experience and time in the markets and actually taking the time to learn how to trade. So pay attention to these numbers above the candles. Doesn't matter how far I expand or contract the chart, those numbers stay in perfect alignment. So this is some pro grade coding right there. And then I also wanted to show you another potential option. So you're watching the percentages above the candles. You could also have the delta grid activated and be watching the raw delta number for all three instruments as well. So not only can you monitor the percentage right above the candle, you can also see the raw delta numbers coming in as well. So many different potential ways to use the Flowstack. There are links to all of the MMT indicators in the description. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. I wish you best of luck in your trading. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
I'm doing some crazy shit over here! Ah!